But let's see what they have to say. The front-end ecosystem is notoriously confusing. At every layer, there seem to be incompatible competing standards. No universal import system. That was a while ago, though. We do have that, right? ES modules, CommonJS, asynchronous module definition. You're talking about old technologies, my man. You're not supposed to use that anymore. They are meant to be just left in the past. We've progressed. We now use ECMAScript modules. This is the future. How do you expect? Things have been evolving, but the old stuff still sticks around. Just gotta avoid it. Just let it be. And if you can't avoid it, well, get good at it. Become the person that the business love. You know, that business people love that one guy who knows what they're doing. Love him. Become valuable, man. This right here is your chance to become that one guy that is good. Let's see what else they have to say. Universal module definition. Oh, wait, I thought these two were the same. I think I always mistake the two of them. I really cannot tell. I've had to deal with it. Never needed to use it in my code. I was always happy with CommonJS. I'm a CommonJS boy. But I've since moved on to ECMAScript modules. Whenever I can, though. Sometimes. Some libraries just don't let you use ECMAScript modules. Wait, maybe that's what he's talking about. He did say there seem to be incompatible competing standards. Well, let me just read the rest. So there are all different ways you can import or share your code. Bundles try and solve some of this by supporting multiple methods. Well, bundlers are the reason why you were even able to do some of these things. You wouldn't be able to do CommonJS in the browser without those bundlers. So I think he's just hating. But we've been progressing. It's just what it is. Can you imagine if we were stuck with UMD or asynchronous module definition or CommonJS? We're not cavemen anymore. We've progressed. So, layers of minification, uglification, and transpilation. You got something against that? Huh? Are you a transphobe? Because these are really good things. This has allowed us to write code that doesn't really need to bother about different browser versions, even different browser vendors. It is great. It is awesome. And you don't even need to worry about performance and size in terms of how you write your code, because these minifiers and uglifiers do it all for you. They take away your work. They do so many things for you. They're great. Why are you hating? I want to know. Code undergoes multiple transformations before it is ran. TypeScript gets compiled into JavaScript. That is a good thing. Code on the web gets minified to reduce network bandwidth. That's right. That's right. Or uglified to prevent copying. True. Although it doesn't really prevent that. Source maps fix some of this, but it's another thing to configure. Sounds like you're just a bitch. Oh yes, I love being on kick. You don't need to be afraid to say the word. You's a bitch. You is a bitch. All of these things, all this complexity is just taking off a lot of work off of the developer, giving us a lot more flexibility. And those that don't understand it won't appreciate it. So I get it. You're not a good developer. Oh, I'm having very spicy takes today. My food wasn't very, what's the word? I actually forgot. Having a boomer moment. Never mind. Getting the right stack trace can be tricky. That's none of these tools' faults though. It was already an issue. It always depends on how the developer throws those errors. Have you ever had to work with somebody that throws numbers and strings? Don't you just want to strangulate them? You know, just strangle them? But yes, some tools do make the stack trace ugly, but I think it's worth it. But it's the developer's fault. Don't fuck up the stack traces. Be careful. It requires coordination between the languages, tools, and the runtimes. Wildly different environments, a feature and a bug. Frontend code is expected to run everywhere, not just the browser. What? The context and APIs available in different environments vary, and it's hard to know what context you have available. Is he talking about server-side rendering or something? And even harder to know what libraries you're importing. Assume. Can this code run on the server? Can this code run on the client? This is tough for developers, but that's on you. Don't do it if you're not smart enough to do it. Oh, I'm being very, very mean. What code can I use? Or for library maintainers, what environments should I optimize my code for? Overemphasis on file structure. Too many front-end tools rely on the project structure for behavior. Configuration that must be in the project's root, leading to a long list of tailwind, config.js, post, config.js, ESLint, config.js, next, config.js, and more. File structure is a necessary evil for importing code, but it ends up doing much more than front-end. It might be an API to route a particular file as a web page, or as an API, or a static web page, or as a dynamically regenerated web page. These are convenient. You said it. But sometimes hard to debug and hard to discover parts of a code base. That sounds like wah. Configuration hell. Might be onto something here. Let's see. There are so many tools to use out of the box. For a long time, there was Create React App, which was a blast bundle of many of these tools that gave developers a working configuration from the start. But if you veered off the golden path, you were left with 20 plus developer tools with complex interactions. This is so true. That's what happens when you try to abstract complexity. The moment that you need to do something that is not the happy path, is not, like you said, the golden path, you're left on your own. Good luck. Figured it out. This is so true. Almost every tool fights each other. This is also true. Be careful with what you use. Don't just introduce tools unnecessarily. Make sure they don't be smacking each other. That's happened to me before. But the solution was easy. Don't use them. That's why I stopped using TypeScript. It was so annoying. I was working on Vue code, and it just wasn't playing nicely. It just annoyed the crap out of me. I wasn't feeling productive. The types were not worth it. They weren't even working properly. That's the issue. It felt more like I was working around them. Hated it. But I think things have gotten better with Vue 3. By the way, I was using Vue 2 back then. Vue 3 was nothing. We didn't have the composition API. ESLint, linter, and prettier often conflict. Here's a solution. Don't use prettier. Development parity. Having so many steps between code and deployment means that hot reloading development is often complicated. This leads to tools like Webpack Dev Server, which handles most of that for you, but beware of magic. That is true. There are so many assumptions in these development servers that they might diverge from production behavior quickly. Oh yes, that is very, very true. I agree with these two last paragraphs. It is so true. But I am so glad that we have all of these tools. I'm so glad that we've progressed. We are out of the freaking jQuery callback hell. Script loading mess that it was before. I don't miss that at all. Not at all. Good article though. Let me give you the link. Very, very interesting perspective. I mostly don't agree with it. Just get better and appreciate why those tools are there in the first place. I guess I have this perspective because I went through hell without all of these tools. I'm so happy to have them now. Obviously, there's always some downsides, but I think the upsides just compensate really, really well. What do the people have to say in the comments? Do I just have a hot take? Am I the only one who thinks like this? It's complicated because there are too many ways to do things and too many things to support. The amount of permutations just between the two gives infinite choices for developers, which can be good but also bad when working with teams. So, work with good teams. That's my advice. Are you stuck with a bad team? Run, freaking run. It's not worth it. Your mental health is important. Just do it. Wait, is this a song? Let me try. Just do it, just do it, and more, and more, and then do it again. Oh god. I don't know what song this is. I don't get the reference. I'm not a normie. Managing state is always complicated. True. This article fails to mention a few major reasons, supporting many different browser versions. Oh yes, the Zoomers don't appreciate this. Remember when we had to support Internet Explorer 5? That was hell. That was freaking hell. I remember having to optimize my homepage to work for Internet Explorer. It was completely broken. Fucking hell, man. Fucking hell. Code loading asynchronously with HTTP 1. Assuming you need all that JS, which is a valid discussion, these two are the original reason why we got into the bundler module loading configuration hell. You know, it's a warm place. I don't mind it. I'm okay with it. Aside from wildly different environments and minification, the latter not really being an issue, these are all thanks to Node's lack of foresight, ambition, and defensive development culture that has only recently been upended by challenges like Dano. Isn't Dano made by the same person who made Node.js? Oh, by the way, Bun. They're mentioning Bun. Have you heard of Bun? It's interesting. Bun tries to do everything on its own. So instead of having to install Webpack, and install ESLint, and install Prettier, and install anything else, it does everything. It's a monolith. Oh, I said the word. Should scare people. I'm sorry if I just scared you away. It's a monolith. But it's an interesting monolith because what they did though, they focused on performance and convenience. So you don't have to mess with so many config files. It's very unlikely that you're also gonna have to deal with conflicts between each other because it's the whole thing. The whole pack is the same thing, the same system, the same code, the same developers. They're all playing nicely with each other, and that gave them the ability to optimize it so well. It is faster than anything else, but those are the numbers that they've released. The numbers, the benchmarks, right? So they benchmarked it. Obviously, they're very biased. Like, do you really give a shit how long it takes to run npm install? Most likely not. You only do it 20 times, 40 times in a single project or something like that. Not very often, right? So I really more like at some of the improvements that Bun provides, but it's exciting, something new, and I want to try it just for the sake of trying it, just to see what it feels. Maybe I'll appreciate it. Maybe I'll even fall in love with it. Maybe. Oh my god. Gobly! Thank you! Here's your receipt! Look at those lucky people. Hope you're having a good day. Also, I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you about my sponsor, water. Did you know that water is good for you? And you should be drinking water every single day. Watch me. There. I drank water. And so should you. Not just because it supports the stream and Mr. Streamer, but because it's good for you. And I care about you very, very much. So drink water. And thank you.